Ahoy, how are you doing? Hello, good evening, and bollocks, as Roger Melly used to say. It's the 27th of November. Welcome to the BBC Spews Live. I'm your host, the Angry Bootneck, and I will be reporting on all of the absolute shite that has been going on over the last 4 days. You take a long weekend and the entire world goes completely to shit. Weird, that, innit? Weird. I guess I shouldn't have a day off. Who's in the chat? Plenty of you already. Benny Ramon, Mark Thompson, English Realist, JVP, Professor Andy, John Hunter, Pietro, Smoosey, Winston Smith, Catherine, Jace Pritchard, John Higginson, Neil Greener, now then, BRT246, Sunflower, 2, Tone Old, Mega Anthony Kirkwood, Davy Boy, now then, RTX Gaming, Steve Yorn, John Hunter, Bobby Crush, and John Ashwood. Oh yeah, and Chan 2 Periods just nipped in as well. And Andy in his red Volvo. Imac your chin. No, I use a stolen Gillette razor that I pinched off my brother because I didn't want to buy one. I think that was back in the day when Beckham was advertising them. And I reasoned that I wanted one, but I didn't want to buy one. And I thought, I know, if I nick my brother's and force him to buy an extra one, then therefore I've achieved my aim and got the razor I wanted without purchasing one. So good, eh? It's almost like how I buy all my clothes off eBay nowadays, because those splendid gentlemen at Black Lives Matter have been doing so much looting of department stores. Everything's cheap over here now. It's amazing. You've seen them all walking out with Nike with more shoes and hoodies than you can shake a stick at. I get my clothes for now. Cheap as chips. Go on eBay. Just type in. You basically, especially when you live near LA, I just go on eBay, go to Los Angeles in the filters, and then type in what I want and basically get everything for cheap. Because obviously the chaps at BLM have been fucking flash mobbing up and looting everywhere. Amazing. Get everything for cheap. So I love that. Yes, this is why I rob them. Got the Elvis look. What? Because I'm fat. Talking about young Elvis or the fat one. Anyway, instead of bandying witnesses with the chat, let's do some news, shall we? It's been hilarious this weekend. Loads of mad shit's gone on. What I'll do is I'll walk through my Twitter chat first, because I've shared a few interesting memes and they'll give us some straws in the wind, and then we'll do the actual news that I've got some stories set aside for. First things first, that was a good one, wasn't it? Human Rights Watch says rocket misfire likely cause of deadly Gaza hospital blast. Those of you that have followed me for some time will be well aware that the same day that hospital got mashed, I pointed out on Twitter, having been a victim of many rocket attacks and indirect fire attacks in general. Robert Mull, there's another bootneck in. Hello, Bob from 4-1 Commando. Basically, every tour I did, you got indirect fire coming in because it's risk-free, almost risk-free. If you got your skills and drill squared away, you can sometimes catch them in the act, which we did a few times, but it's the best way to try and get some casualties and get some of that free bounty money off the Taliban or Al-Qaeda or whoever's paying the bills. And what you do is, because they haven't got any skills or abilities, like the IRA used to fire mortars relatively accurately because they had rudimentary training, and they'd set them up somewhere and actually eyeball them in use a rangefinder and attempt to get them on target. But most of them out in places like Afghanistan and Iraq, and yes, on the Gaza Strip, don't do any of that. What they do is they literally get like 107mm rockets, sort of bog standard artillery shells that they get their hands on, and they'll lean up against a tree. I know this because I've personally found them. There'd be times when we like we'd have an OP, we'd have eyes on the ground in all of the areas that intelligence guys had marked on the map, and we'd run operations. I don't think any of this is interesting or secret because it's all open source and everybody's writing a bastard book about it these days. But essentially, what we do is you do a surge operation in an area, let's say in Iraq, where we're in Basra Palace, and then you'd have guys in covert positions, the other side of the river or the other side of town, and you'd wait for them to get eyes on a noisy patrol in a certain section of the town, and hopefully they'd then start flinging rockets or mortars at you badly from a quieter part of town. And if you did your job well, and we did it several times, you'd be able to catch them in the act or kill them. And when we caught them in the act, you'd literally find, like, they might leg it when you're within 50 yards of the position, jump in a Taliban taxi and fucking drive off. And you'd see like 5 or 6 rockets badly chained together with like a makeshift fuse in the general fucking direction of what they thought was the fob. And they were less accurate than Stevie Wonder pinning the fucking tail on the donkey. Like, it was shockingly bad. If they fired 100 rockets at us, maybe 10 of them would land on the base. And of that, 9 out of 10 would land in the middle of nowhere, because they're not aiming for a building. They're aiming them in the general direction. So I pointed out that when a rocket hits a hospital in Gaza, it's unlikely that the Israelis have fired it, because they've got like actual military training and actual military equipment. And typically when they aim at something, they hit it. So if the hospital is crowded with loads of women and kids, they're not going to be the ones purposely malleting it and killing everyone inside. I'm not saying they don't occasionally target areas where there's civilians. They do, right? It does happen. If they deemed that the operational necessity is worth the PR disaster, they'll probably do it. But when they blew up a hospital with no high priority targets in it, and it was just rammed with women and kids, I pointed out the same day that it was just as likely or more likely that it was fired by the enemy, because they're literally leaning them on a fucking tree, putting a fuse on it and running away. Like, they weren't even in tubes, for fuck's sake. I think if I was doing it, I'd at least cobble together like a makeshift firing tube to sort of guarantee at least some kind of angle on it. They were leaning them up on trees and setting them off. Like, they could fucking just be like a grass cutter and hit a kid in the head 200 feet away. So when this happened, Human Rights Watch said the rocket misfire was likely cause of a deadly Gaza hospital blast. I pointed out that that was likely. And now Human Rights Watch say it is extremely likely, but it's obviously reported by Reuters as well. And the point I made was, just like they do with all the fake news, the BBC made this the top story for fucking weeks. Like 2 weeks, it was the top story. And they do it with everything. Like Orwell said, you know, it doesn't matter if it's true. All that matters is who controls the airwaves. And that is exactly what they do. They're now doing it with the Irish, right? The Irish have essentially took a normal position, which is, it's not even political, really, is it? Not really a political position. It's just like Conor McGregor seems to be the least political person in the world. Never talks politics, does he? Just a bloke. And it really isn't political when it's that simplistic. He's not sitting there poring over fucking reading Hume and Locke and coming to some conclusion. He's just a normal working class chavvy bloke who, let's be honest, if he wasn't a UFC fighter, he'd probably be a fucking smackhead or a burglar. He'd be a labourer on a building site and probably a burglar. And he basically just said, hang on, being Irish is a thing, which obviously it is. Funny old thing, they've got a bit of a chip on the shoulder about it. And if we just import strangers from the third world and they kill Irish people, I think those Irish people died for no reason, because the people that killed them came from somewhere else. So therefore, if we didn't bring the person over from somewhere else, they wouldn't have killed them. Right? That's not really political, is it? It's not a political thing. It's just it's almost like a statement of logic. I've noticed there's a few of you wound up. Whenever I talk about the 4B2s, I get you wound up, no chance. They didn't bomb the hospital that time. Well, that's exactly what I said. If there's a very high value target in there, I don't deny that they probably would mallet the fucker. But they do a better job of it than that, is what I'm saying. No high value targets, just a load of bands. Anyway, so that's an interesting one, and we'll disappear that. There's another one. Things I'm concerned about: totalitarianism, climate change. Yeah, funny old thing. It's the former. And we are living through it. I told you this loads of times. We've basically already lost. Like, we say that we prefer prevention to the cure. And I've talked about it many times. I apologize if you're sick of me telling you, we don't do prevention. We don't. In your own personal life, you do. You do prevention. Your doctor tells you, listen, if you don't stop eating donuts, fatty, and start having some more fiber in your diet, maybe having a bowl of fucking oats every morning, maybe I'm going to have to put you on these pills, these statins. So go and do some exercise, buffalo ass, and try and eat healthier. And maybe we don't need to give you the pills. We do prevention on a personal, individual level, but we don't do prevention politically, ever. Ever. That's why it's boring. It's almost boring talking about the amount of times that we haven't done prevention, isn't it? Because we never do it. The mechanisms of the state, which is what people like me have always said, which is why you need to be very, very risk averse and very conservative in your movements, because it's hard to run a country efficiently. It's why you have to be very, very careful, because they're useless. They are dog shit. Like, look at all the money that got pinched when they started sending out those COVID payments, like tens of billions, because the nimble, fleet-footed tea leaves are very good at being thieving bastards, and the state, the big, fat, useless, behemoth mechanisms of state run by lazy, self-serving bureaucrats, lazy civil servants, and thick as shit politicians like Diane fucking Abacus. They're not good at dealing with things quickly. They're a behemoth. So, funny old thing. They managed to rob tens of billions because the state can't react quick enough. Whenever there's a loophole, they're fucking straight in there. Every time there's a loophole created by the British government, 6,000 Albanians stick the cock in the loophole and fuck it to death. That's what happens to loopholes. Yeah? Criminal gangs, well-organised, quick-witted criminal gangs, stick the cock in it and shag it to death. That's what the criminals do with loopholes. So you should have as few fucking systems in place as possible where people can scam it and rob you. Like, as few. This is what I've said about welfare. Every normal person in this, it's not like this is political either, really, is it? Every person in this chat knows someone. If you're a normal working class bloke, you know someone who has been on the fucking rock and roll for 30 years. I'm from Borough. I cannot move for them. Half the people I went to school with, the last one I went to school with in my class of school, I'm not going to name drop because she might watch it. Although, fucking hell, I nearly said, oh, but she probably guess. No, she can't guess because there's too many slags in my school in Middlesbrough. But a bird I went to school with literally is the stereotype. Like, mum never worked, no dad. Mum did cradle to grave without ever working. She did the same, never ever worked, ever. And then she got knocked up when she was like 16 or 17. And then her daughter got knocked up when she was 16 or 17. And now she is the fucking Borough stereotype, 35-year-old granny. Like, these people are ubiquitous. For those of you that don't read, that means they're fucking all over the shop. Like wet gremlins. You just shot a gremlin in the bathtub. That's how they multiply. Mick Philpott on fucking acid. All the people who move here and get welfare from third world countries where they all have 60 fucking kids. They multiply like gremlins in a storm. And it's because we pay for everything. So obviously, that's not really a political statement either, is it? If you're a normal person and you work in class and you walk out your house and you see a fat chav with 8 kids drinking special brew every morning while you're pulling your pudding out and going to work every bastard day in the rain and the snow to carry bricks around the building site, you get pissed off. It's not a political position. You see scruffy bastards, you get pissed off, right? That's got nothing to do with politics. It's basic human nature. It's railing against unfairness. There's another good one. Alan Snack Bar kicking off in Ireland. I'm on a tangent there. I'm just saying the immigration argument, the sort of welfare argument, these aren't political. They've got nothing to do with politics. Basic human nature. And if the position of the people in charge now is that anybody who says, I feel like a little bit resentful because it seems like we're importing people that sometimes kill people that I identify with. If those people are far right, then everybody is. I'm like 90% of society. The only people that don't agree are already brain dead. I nearly said brainwashed, but it's brain dead. IQ of a fucking pork pie. A ham sandwich has a higher IQ than these people because they don't think for themselves. I try and argue with these people because I'm a glutton for punishment and I'm an argumentative bastard. Every time I go to a bar or a brewery or somewhere I can get pissed and I start talking to some twat, especially out here, and they're like, oh yeah, Donald Trump, he's a fascist. I always end up arguing with them. And you quickly realise that there's no point in having the debate because they don't have anything original to say. Like I've told you loads of times, I can have a chat with anyone because I feel like it's interesting. I'm going to have original opinions. They try and paint us in the same brush, people that disagree with them. But we aren't, are we? We're not in the same box because if I have a chat with a MAGA bloke who's mega into Trump and he's from the south of the United States, there'll probably be plenty of stuff that we'll disagree on. Like I keep saying, being a boring, what would you call it? Cynical realist, a pessimist. I'm not bothered about any of the religious arguments. I've never cared about abortion or euthanasia, or the use of drugs and stuff. Stuff like that doesn't really bother me. I'm aware that there's negative aspects to it, but I just don't feel like the game is worth the candle, i.e. using the mechanisms of the state to tell individuals that they're not allowed to do stuff. I don't really agree with this. So there's plenty that I'll disagree with when someone's conservative over here. There's plenty of things I'll disagree with someone like David Starkey, who's like an old-fashioned conservative bloke. There's plenty of things I disagree with like Mark Stein or Tucker Carlson or Sean Hannity. There's little things that we disagree with. But when you're talking to these fucking planks, these brain-dead, shit-for-brains wokists, you literally might as well just spend 10 minutes banging your knackersack against the bar because everything they say is a cliche. They're a walking fucking stereotype. Yeah, and you know what they think about everything. You know what they think about everything. Just pick one off Twitter, Ash Sarkar. There would be no point in me having a conversation with Ash Sarkar because I know what she thinks about everything. These people don't even have hobbies. You know what I mean? Like, they just don't. All she gives a fuck about is this bollocks ideology. I know where she stands on everything. I know where she stands on abortion and euthanasia and gun control and immigration and fucking taxing and spending and the NHS, everything. Climate change, any topic you can think of. So what's the point in talking to them? What's the point in talking to them? What have we got there? Immigrant breaks into a post office in Ireland. Yeah, good lad. Good lad, man, in his own business. I blame Conor McGregor. Look at that one. This one was shared by Elon Musk. Did you see this one? Oh, it's gone. Have they fucking scrubbed it? They have as well. The absolute wankers. That's mad, that, isn't it? Because Elon Musk shared it. At least you can still see the headline. Yeah, oh, no, there it is. Okay. They didn't get rid of it. I thought they'd binned it already. It's an old story, but he brought attention to it. And he points out, look how fucking mad this is. Why is that so shit? An Algerian asylum seeker who kidnapped and raped a teenager. Kidnapped and raped. Jailed for 6 years by the Central Criminal Court. The judge said, if you were an Irish bloke or a resident here, you would have been in jail for 10. So he's basically saying there, you know what you should do? You should move to places where you're definitely not a local and just rape the shit out of everyone because you might as well. You won't get any shit for it. I mean, honestly, that is so bad, that story. There it is, so you can see it. Just those two paragraphs, right? That is so bad that not only does it completely upend the justice system, which is supposed to work off the fact that everybody gets treated equally, and Lady Justice wears a blindfold, right? In Ireland, she wears a fucking pussy hat. Lady Justice is 25 stone and she's got purple hair and she's got a clitoris like Rocky's speedball, right? That's Lady Justice in Ireland. In Ireland, she's a fucking idiot. Lady Justice is the town bike, and she identifies as she's in a polycule, in a fucking polycule. But is that a bit small for you to read it? Let me see if I can blow it up a bit. There it is. An Algerian. Oh, you can't mention any of these words. I think if you say some of them words, you'll get banned. A bloke from a nice civilized society who kidnapped and raped a teenage student has been in jail for 6 years. If you were an Irish bloke, you would have been in jail for 10. And bear in mind, if you do if you get sentenced to 6 years in Ireland, you're probably looking at about 2.5, aren't you? 2.5. Fuck it. If you're a plums Algerian bloke and you just can't get any action, might as well. 2.5 years. Fuck it. May as well just do a Ted Bundy, run into a sorority house, have the time of your life for 6 hours, and then just it's only 2.5 years. Almost worth it. If you can get 10 notches on your bedpost in 2 hours, 2.5 years. You wouldn't have got 10 shags in 2.5 years anyway. So you might as well fucking go do it. To me, that's what's basically telling me. There's a Texan in here, based, sensible part of America, Texas. Welcome, Ginger. So that is just absolutely shocking. That it turns the justice system upside down, totally puts it up on its head. All bollocks. We'll take a look at you and we'll hear you talk, and then we'll decide what we should give you, which really is a joke, isn't it? We have to. They need to get rid of all the symbols of Lady Justice with a blindfold on, because she doesn't wear a blindfold. Like I said, add £50, give her fucking purple hair, put a few bits of metal shit in her face, but fucking one of them daft bull rings through her nose and a fucking coach board through her tongue, and then that'll be what she looks like, what she actually looks like. A big fat activist with a fucking gash like a yawning hippopotamus. That's what she looks like. Jason Burrows in Ohio, but he moved from Texas, based state. So that's good, isn't it? I love that. Right, should we cancel Twitter and go back to the actual story I was going to talk about in the first place? Oh yeah, there's a good one. Before we leave, let's just look at this hot take. Look at this one. This is probably the dumbest hot take I've ever read. Imagine being an Israeli who was kept alive in Gaza by Hamas. Kept alive? You mean kidnapped? So they're twatting them and they're keeping them alive. They're doing everything they can to protect you because you're a hostage, for fuck's sake. You know what a hostage is? You're not much of a hostage if it's already dead, is it? You might as well kidnap a fucking potted plant. Right? Can we just agree that Mr. Bolson's got the IQ of a fucking chicken McNugget? He's like, oh yeah, imagine they're killing him, but the experienced Hamas fighters are doing everything they can to protect you. Yeah, because if they're not going to keep you alive, kidnap a fucking cactus. Just go, hello, grab that potted plant, Mohammed. That'll do. I thought we were kidnapping hostages. Fuck it. Just get an inanimate object. We'll trade them later. So Twitter is just a cesspit, isn't it? Twitter is just stupidity on both sides of every argument. I'm sure you can find some orthodox 4B2s who just fucking talk absolute gibberish. But oh look, some bloke shot 3 Palestinians. Who radicalised him? I love how they asked that question straight away. Someone like James O'Brien's probably radicalised 100 times the amount of people as some, I don't know who he's been pointing at there, some right-wing bloke. Who radicalised him? Who cares? What's it got to do with you? O'Brien, what's it got to do with you if some American bloke shoots some people? Who radicalised him? Don't care. Got nothing to do with you, knobhead. Stick your head back up your arse and then bury yourself in the sand. Because he's too thick to just say he buries his head in the sand. He jams his head right up his fucking shit locker and then he buries himself in the sand. Then he gets a team of professional labourers to bury him in an extremely deep layer of sand. They set him as the foundations on a new fucking Barrett home, is what they do with him. So yeah, I don't care, James. Got nothing to do with me or you. Stop asking questions we can't answer. What a fucking twat. He's another one, James O'Brien. I think he is so like, he can't be as thick as he pretends he is. So I feel like he probably votes Conservative. All right, like because he's got to be a cynical fucking author who just thought, I know I can get rich and famous if I parrot the dumbest left wing shit imaginable. He's probably like Jacob Rees-Mogg if you catch him on an off day. You know, he's in his house, probably reading the Telegraph. Like, yeah, put another 10 grand in the offshore accounts, Jeeves. Fucking wanker. Right, let's actually read a story. What I was going to talk about in the first place, which was, of course, Mr. McGregor. The BBC one's less interesting than the Fox News one, so I'm going to read it. Unless I can't get rid of this big, fat, black bar at the top of the screen. There we are. Okay. So we've got UFC champion Conor McGregor ripped the Prime Minister of Ireland for downplaying the kidnapping and eventual release of an Irish-Israeli child by Hamas. McGregor called the Irish PM a disgrace after he used the terms lost and found to describe the abduction and release of a 9-year-old Emily Hand. You know what that reminded me of? The bollocks language that he used, like they all do, the slippery language. It reminded me of Bricktop on Snatch when he goes, "Oh, where'd you lose it? It ain't like he's a set of fucking car keys, is it? And it's not like he's inconspicuous." When they're talking about losing the fighter because he got his jaw broke by the jippo. He ain't a set of fucking car keys now, is he? She was abducted by an evil terrorist organisation. Yeah, she was, yeah. What is with you and your government and your paid-for media affiliates constantly downplaying and attempting to repress horrific attacks that happen to children? You are a disgrace. Again, not really a political issue, is it? Like so many of the issues I mentioned tonight. It's not really related. Normal humans, regardless of any politics, have an innate desire to keep children safe because any one of us, it's literally as apolitical as saying you're against cancer. You know what I mean? Nobody's pro-cancer. You know what I mean? You don't see them shaking a thing for cancer research and you go, fuck off, I've never had it. Yeah, sucks to be you. I've got knee cancer to worry about. Hehe. Everyone worries about it because it can affect anyone. Not a political issue. Anyone can get the big C, so everybody feels empathy for people that get it. And anyone can have kids. Well, all right, except for the 0.01% of people that are just naturally infertile, or the 5% of modern women that have actually got a cracking set of town halls between the legs. Other than them, everyone can get pregnant. So it's normal human empathy, human nature and empathy to worry about children. Not a political position. Only if you're a hardcore political ideologue do you not care about children. Because nearly everybody can have kids. And therefore we feel a deep empathy for children, even wankers like me. I'm soft as shite around the bare knee. You know, if some like 4-year-old girl comes running over when I'm in the mall or something and is like, have you seen this? Like, holds a toy up or something. I go, oh, yeah, it's good that. I don't say what I naturally want to say and be like, who gives a fuck? I'm 44, you scruffy little bastard. You know what I mean? I don't do that because we have a natural empathy for children. I go, hey, that's good. I had one of them when I was your age. The one thing I don't do, which a lot of weird people do, which annoys me, is I don't change my tone of my voice to talk to kids. Have you noticed how like weirdos when they're talking to children that talk like they're completely retarded? I've seen it before, like when I've been in like, you know, you've been in a shopping mall or something or a Chuck E. Cheese or whatever, you're a restaurant, and there's like a very rambunctious child in there. There's like 3 or 4 running about. The parents aren't really looking after them. And, you know, I've seen them sometimes run over to a woman and be like, hello there, have you seen my mum? And she's like, hello. And I'm like, what are you talking to that kid for? Like it's a mong? Ginger Crust just did a super sticker. I don't even know what that is. I can't actually see it on here. I hope it popped up on YouTube and looked amazing, but I can't see him on StreamYard. Yeah, oh well. Hopefully that popped up and actually looked impressive. Woot. Oh, there it is. I had to put YouTube on. Appears to be a joypad with arms. That's weird. I don't know why it doesn't pop up on mine. Anyway, yeah, well, I noticed you, so thanks for that. Yeah, why did they talk like to Weyans like they're completely retarded? Like, I don't do that. I talk to them like a normal because, you know, I'm presuming they aren't special needs. But even me, I pretend, right? If a little kid, or they want to draw you into a game of somewhere like, oh, my teddy bear thinks you're a wanker, I'd be like, oh, he's a cheeky little twat, or whatever, like you play along. Because it's natural to like kids. You know what I mean? So these aren't political opinions. I said it when, do you remember when little Emily Jones got fucking murdered in Bolton? I made a video on about that at the time. I think it was one of my first BBC Spews before I started getting frequently banned for talking about those issues. She was only a kid, like a little kid, getting knifed to death. That's not a political opinion. That's not a political position, that. Any human who sees a little girl get knifed to death has a real prick of compassion there for the parents, because it's like the big C. It's like it could happen. You feel like it could happen to any one of us. Any one of us could have a kid and lose them at a young age, and you know you'd be just filled with bitterness and rage and hatred towards the people that did it. And I just find it really baffling how the powers that be are trying to smear everybody that cares about these issues. It's not political. It's the most natural thing in the world, and I despise them for it. These political games they play when there's little girls and innocent women being the victims of it. So anyway, there you go. So Conor McGregor, turns out he's a fascist. Who'd have thought? Yeah, never once talked about politics. Turns out all along he was a fascist, Nazi, homophobe. Racist, sexist, homophobe. That's the one, isn't it? He's a racist, sexist, homophobe. Why? Because he gets upset when kids get knifed in the head. Yeah, weird. Racist, sexist, homophobe. And you know who else is? You. Yeah, you. What, you care when kids get stabbed in the head? Bigot. Yeah, sorry. Unlucky. I regret to inform you that you're a fucking awful person. Tough shit. I think for this, most people would agree with you. I believe the real movement against the death penalty took place because there was some high-profile mistakes. And I believe, because my nana Hilda taught me about that before she died. She said the reason they got shot of it was because they put some innocent man to death, and she said it was the worst thing ever. So that's why they got rid of it. But I think in the modern era, where they have cameras everywhere, they could simply meet the do-gooders halfway and say, if we're only relying on analytical evidence or there's any element of doubt in the case, we'll just give them life in prison. But if they're on video and there's dozens of witnesses and there is no possibility that it was anybody else, because that's going to have been what happened. When someone was put to death by accident, they're going to have been relying on analytical evidence from after the fact. It's going to have been trying to piece together the events, and they've gone, yeah, basically beyond any reasonable doubt, it's that person. But it's not going to have been accidental death when 60 people saw it, and the person that did it kept shouting, Alan's snack bar, EIO, EIO, Alan's fucking snack bar. Is it? Not going to have been like that. Proudly telling you they did it. There's nobody. All of the regulars at Allen's that we've got in prisons up and down the UK. There's no possibility that that's a case of mistaken identity, because it's 2023, and they're loud and they're proud, and they have dozens of witnesses, and they have CCTV, and they have DNA, and they have all these modern policing techniques. We know it was. So just be done with them. What's the point in feeding them? I suppose that is a good point, though. This is why I keep saying about there's no point in talking to these ideologues. Stuff like euthanasia or the death penalty is a great thing to talk about in the boozer. Like, I'm argumentative and I love to have a debate. They're great subjects for sitting in the boozer and having a natter about it, because there's good arguments to be made on both sides of it, and I think it's enjoyable to talk through. Things that are easy are boring. Finding a lump on your bollocks is shit. No, it isn't. Boring, that, isn't it? Because everybody says, yeah, shit, that. Interesting things are hard to get to the bottom of. And abortion and euthanasia and the death penalty, they're all good things to talk about, I think, because they're things you can go round and round and round and round on for a long time. Yeah, it's also a good point. Yeah. If we brought back the death penalty, they'd probably have Conor McGregor swinging, wouldn't they, by the end of the week? They'd be like, he's a bastard. Yeah, do him in. He'd take a quick trip through a thin hatch, wouldn't he, Conor? But it's an hard one. It's an hard one. Anyway, I'm just saying, in the case of like murder, like especially killing women and kids, innocent people in the streets, terrorism, just get shot of them. I resent paying taxes to feed and water these people for a long period of time. So yeah, fuck them. Personal defence is a good one as well, yeah. Give them both barrels. I think we all can agree that farm yakker didn't deserve jailing when he gave two jippos both barrels in his front fucking garden. I don't think many people thought he deserved nicking. Although not even that was a bit more complicated than it was originally, right? Because didn't they say he shot at them and they legged it, and then they were actually running away from him in his yard, and he just started blatting. So maybe that was a bit more complicated as well. Like, yeah, maybe like a couple of years slap on the wrist for like manslaughter or something. Because again, you don't want total anarchy. You can't have it like where you've just everyone's allowed to blast everyone that pisses them off. There's a happy medium there. But generally, if it's in your kitchen, I reckon 99 out of every 100 people are on board with blatting them. Because it's your home's your castle, innit? I think the vast majority of people would be like, yeah. You come downstairs to get a glass of water at 3 o'clock in the morning and there's a jippo having a shite on your fucking kitchen floor. I think most people would say, yeah, both barrels. Do you know what I mean? If I walk downstairs to get a glass of water and someone's snapping off a foot of brown cable in my fucking living room, best believe he's getting both barrels. I'm going to perform an emergency medical procedure with a fucking meat cleaver. So that's defo. Yeah, that's an old adage that everybody can stand by, I think. Yeah, again, there was extenuating. Although I will say he's a fucking farm yakker, not a medic. Like, if some jippo's just burgled you, I don't think it should be on you to give them emergency medical assistance, should it? It takes a strong man to just go, oh, I'm a fucking saint now. I'll just go and check on his health. Not really how it works, is it? I don't know. Joking aside, yeah, I'm not saying you should just be able to blat everyone. I do think that there was some extra circumstance in that case, but in general, if it's in your living room or your kitchen, you come downstairs, blat them. I think most people would say that's acceptable. Which is another thing that the public and the ruling elite are completely at odds on, aren't they? Like, I don't know if you were to put it to the polls now, which is why we've never been asked. It's why they hated Cameron for letting us ask the question on Brexit. If you put it to the polls now and just said, should we reinstate the death penalty for the absolute worst crimes when we do know for certain that the killer is guilty and we've got DNA and physical video evidence? I think it'd be 70-30. What do you reckon? I'm pretty sure it'd be a fucking landslide. It'd be way more clear-cut than Brexit. Like, if the lefties in the chat want to disagree, maybe it'd be what? 60-40? It wouldn't be close, is what I'm getting at. If you put it to a referendum, shall we start giving... Should Ian Huntley get beaten to death with a fucking brick? I reckon 70% of the public would say, yeah. Yeah. Easy. Looks like the chat's in agreement anyway. But yeah, so that's that. 70% probably. That's what I think. 70-30. The Guardian readers and the silly daft cunts who live around London, yeah, they'd vote against it. But the vast majority of working people, yeah, they'd be like, yeah, anyone kills my kid, I want him swinging. I want him to get a nice relaxing sit down in a 60,000 volt reclining chair. I think that's what the majority of people would be happy with. If they see Emily Clark, that's fucking Daenerys Targaryen, did it? If they saw Emily Jones's picture and they see that little girl looking at them and they say, right, do you think we should have the death penalty if people harm kids this age? 70% be like, yep, see you later. Have a seat in my 60,000 volt chair, Mr. Pedo Rapist Cannibal. Ian Huntley, see you later. Fucking stab him in the eye with a rusty bayonet. Easy. I'd volunteer to be the executioner and I wouldn't even take a fucking wage. I'd save the taxpayers a fortune. And they even say things like, oh, it costs £10,000 to execute someone. Nah, I'll do it with a brick. Every Friday night, wheel out the bootneck. I'd even reuse the fucking brick. I'd reuse the brick. I'd be like, good evening, Mr. Huntley. Tune in next week when said brick will be cleaned of brain matter and reused on this gentleman who stabbed a kid in the eye. Right? Cheap. Cheap as fucking chips. In that red sheet, I have Stanley Baker in Zulu. Can you say the army doesn't like more than one disaster in a day in your best Stanley voice? I have only seen Zulu like maybe twice in 40 years. I don't know who Stanley Baker is. Is he a Cockney or a Welshman? I do a pretty good Cockney accent. Welsh, not as good. Brick lives matter. Yeah, I'll recycle the bricks. I'll absolutely recycle the bricks. I'd do it with anything. I could kill a man with fucking anything if I really had to. I'd strangle him to death with his own jeans. Fucking free. Easy. Oh shit, I have to go. I've got a meeting in 10 minutes. Fucking these civil servants who want us all to work remotely have done me a disservice. I have to go to work for massive amounts of time and they get me when I'm at home. The bastards. He was an English officer who came to build a bridge. I can do my best Michael Caine impression. Don't throw that bloody spear at me. Even though he doesn't actually say it in the film. I remember watching it. I rewatched it about 10 years ago with my missus. And at no point does he say it. I was sort of disappointed. Anyway, I'm going to have to bugger off. I've got shit to do. Oh, yeah, look. I got some shit merch from Redbubble. Good, that, innit? An Angry Bootneck sticker. You can, pretty decent, that, innit? So I got some of them. And I got one of him on a rope and all. It's not bad. I will be sending some to Matt from Australia because he signed up to be a premium member or whatever the fuck it was. I'll periodically put some of you twats in the hat and I'll just randomly pick people when I can be asked to go to the post office. So well done, Matt. You can have some shitty stickers and some artwork and I'll send you it this week. To everybody else, thanks for watching. I think 700's a record for me. That's almost as much as like Pete with millions of subscribers get. It's almost like Neil and Susan are conspiring to fucking diddle me. The bastards. Anyway, yeah, okay. Thanks for tuning in. Kate, thanks for moderating. All right, I'll send you some shit as well. PM me your address. All right. Yeah, we'll do that. Who cares? I can afford it. Thanks for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Please like and share it if you can be asked. And I will hopefully see you later in the week. All right. Toodle pip. Thanks for watching. Cheers.